Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and talk to you about nouns and articles. Nouns and articles, words that identify persons, places, or objects are nouns. So let's just go ahead and underline that. Words that identify persons, places, or objects are nouns. Okay. Spanish nouns, even those denoting non-living things, are either masculine or feminine in gender, which is something I keep saying in class, is that everything has a gender, okay? Whether they're inanimate objects or not, everything in Spanish has a gender. Oops. Sorry about that. I was trying to exit out and I pulled up email. El género de los sustantivos, the gender of nouns. So what we want to do is we want to be able to figure out what the gender of a noun is. And they're telling you here that the definite article, the, must agree with the noun. Okay. There are many clues that will help you identify the gender of the noun. So we'll skip over this. We'll come back to that in a minute. Most nouns that end in O, or those denoting persons are male persons are masculine. Okay, and they give you the example, el libro, because el libro, it ends in O, so it's masculine. Most nouns ending in A, or those denoting female persons are, most nouns ending in A or those denoting female persons are feminine. Okay, many person nouns have corresponding masculine O and feminine forms, meaning they could change. So if it's people, like friend, you can change your O to an A. So there's going to be a male friend form and there's going to be a female friend form. Boy, girl, niño, niña. So a lot of times nouns will have both forms, a masculine and a feminine form, when they're referring to people. Most masculine person nouns ending in a consonant, you simply add A to form the feminine. So if it's a noun that's referring to a person and ends in O, you're going to take off the O and change it to an A, and that gives you the feminine form. If it ends in a consonant like R down here, you just add an A to the consonant, and that gives you the feminine form. Okay, certain person nouns use the same form for masculine and feminine, like artista, it doesn't change. You just use the article that would correspond that lets you know whether it's male or female. So an artista could be a male or a female, but a male friend would be an amigo and a female friend would be an amiga. Estudiante is the same way. Estudiante could be both a male or a female student. Just the article or the adjectives you use would let someone know whether you're talking about a male or a female. And poeta is another one. Nouns that end in E or a consonant can be masculine or feminine. The article indicates what the gender of the noun is. And most nouns that end in AD, well, let me do, that end in AD or ION are feminine. Okay, and most nouns that end in MA are masculine. Like problema, drama, enigma, and then universidad, nación, these are feminine. Okay, how you can best determine whether a noun is masculine or feminine is going to be by looking at the article. Okay, so I'm actually gonna save this. When you look at the article, like in your book, when they give you words, they're going to give it to you with an article. So let's see, what page do they give you? Vocabulary. Let's see, let's look at page 20 in your book. Okay, any day now would be nice. Okay, so here, if you look at page 20, and I'm actually going to take a picture so I can write on it. I'm just going to take a picture right here. We're going to focus right here on this part. Okay, so if you'll notice, like right here, you've got an article. Actually, let me change the color. Let's do, yes, red. Okay, so you've got an article right here in front of pen, and you've got an article right here in front of calculator, and you've got an article right here in front of computadora, and an article right here in front of cuaderno. Whoops. And an article right here in front of diccionario. When you're given your vocabulary, they're always going to give it to you in your book with the article, and the article lets you know whether the noun in question is masculine or feminine, because the articles have to agree. So these, el and la, and I'm going to go ahead and show you in a minute, all of these, they're considered definite articles. They all mean the. So if, we'll just put that here, if you see el or los in front of your noun is masculine. If you see la or las in front of your noun is feminine. Okay, so we will so el or los. Okay, el or los gives you masculine, and la or las, oops, is feminine. Okay, so if I go through here, we know bolígrafo. So we had just talked about the endings, and the endings work sometimes because you see this ends in O, and it is masculine. This one ends in A, and it is feminine. But if you go down here to mapa ends in A, right? But it's actually a masculine word because of the article. So the article is the foolproof way of knowing whether or not your noun in question is masculine or feminine. So if you go through, bolígrafo is masculine, calculadora is feminine, computadora is feminine, cuaderno is masculine, diccionario is masculine, lápiz is masculine, libro is masculine, mapa is masculine, marcador is masculine, because here's the L, mesa, oops, sorry, marcador, mesa's feminine, mochila's feminine. I'm having issues with my little circle here. Mochila's feminine, papel is masculine, pizarra feminine, puertas feminine, reloj is masculine, sillas feminine, teléfono celular is masculine, and tiza is feminine, okay? And so it was the articles that let us know. And if you look in your glossary, let's see here, let me save this really quickly. Okay, so another way, like let's say you're wanting to know whether a word is masculine or feminine, and it's not a word that's in your chapter, you do have let's see here, you guys have a glossary, so you could look up a word Let's look up the word abeja. Okay, so here's abeja reina, and it's got a la after it. So you'll see if it's a noun, because there are other parts of speech, and so this applies only to your nouns. If it's a noun, it's going to have an L or a la after it. That lets you know whether the word is masculine or feminine. So you can also go in your glossary and look up the words there. Okay, so let's do some practice. Let's see, gender practice. Okay, so we want to know whether the words are masculine or feminine. Okay, so libro, it ends in O, which means the bulk of the time it should be masculine. And if you pull up your text again and we find libro, here it is, it's got an L in front of it. So that makes that word masculine. So then I'm going to pick masculino. Okay, puerta ends in A, so most of the time nouns that end in A are supposed to be feminine, but I could also pull up my book. I find puerta, it's got a la in front of it, that makes it feminine. So I'm going to pick femenino. Okay, oops. All right, emoción. Emoción has an I-O-N on it. And if you look over here, remember I-O-N and A-D are feminine, and you don't have to look it up. It just tells you if it has an A-D or an I-O-N that it's going to be feminine, so you pick femenino. Okay. Dia, it ends in A, but if we look up dia, which I don't think is one this time, I think it was one of your vocab words from last time, so let's just go to the glossary to do it. Let's put in dia. Oops. Dia. Okay, so here we have dia. It's got an el, which means it's masculine. And you can remember that because you say buenos dias, not buenas dias. Okay, so if I go out here, dia is masculino. Hija ends in A, so more than likely it's going to be feminine. Again, I don't think that was one of your words, so but if you want to double check, you can look in your glossary. Hija. Oops. Hija. Hija is feminine. You've got the la there, so you'd go back here and put femenino. Okay. Abuelo, another word. It's got an O, so it should be masculine, but if you want to double check, you can go out here again to your glossary. Type in abuelo. And here we've got abuelo is masculine. If you change it to an A and you put a la in front of it, that makes it abuela, grandmother, which is feminine. But with the O, it's masculine. So abuelo is masculino. Okay. Universidad ends in AD. Okay. And AD is feminine, so I'm going to pick femenino. Teléfono, it ends in an O, so it should be masculine, and this I think was one of your vocab words, so I can go back to the textbook. Here's teléfono, it's got an L, so it's masculine, and I would pick masculino. Foto ends in O, so it should be feminine. It should be masculine. However, if you go to your glossary and we do photo, because photo is actually short for fotografía, it's going to be la, which makes it feminine. So we're going to pick femenino. Okay. Problema ends in MA. And if you go out here, MA is masculine. So then I'm going to pick masculino. Mesa ends in A, which I think also is one of your vocab words. So if you go out here, here's mesa, it's a la, and it is femenino.